The sky was once a vast, unblemished blue, a canopy of glass that held the heat of a younger sun in the time before the first gear was cast, before the static state had a name or a ledger. The basin was a sea of wild prairie grass that reached the bellies of the roaming herds. Men wore straw hats, not as a biological prison, but as a simple shield against the light. They lived by the tilt of the earth and the scent of the coming rain, unaware that the very ground beneath them was a cemetery of ancient energy that the future would learn to crave. The transformation began with a single silver needle. It wasn't an invasion of soldiers, but an invasion of surveyors. They arrived in steam-hissing carriages, carrying brass transit levels and rolls of vellum that spoke of efficiency, progress, and the inevitable expansion of the clockwork city. They promised the farmers a share of the new kinetic, a life where the muscles of the arm would be replaced by the tireless iron of the piston. They spoke of a world where the night was merely a suggestion, and the winter was a problem that had been solved by the combustion of the deep. The first derrick went up in the center of the valley like a gallows. He remembered his grandfather standing at the edge of the fence line, watching the black sludge spray into the air for the first time. The old man didn't cheer. He reached down and grabbed a handful of soil, watching as the oil turned the dirt into a slick, dead paste. This is the blood of the past, his grandfather had whispered, his voice trembling with a terror that the young man wouldn't understand for another 50 years. And once you start drinking it, you will forget how to eat anything else. Within a decade, the horizon was a forest of timber and steel. The static state arrived with the first of the contracts, parchment that turned the sky into property, and the marrow of the workers into line item. They began to optimize the labor force. It started with simple augmentations, a copper brace for a weak back, a telescopic lens for a failing eye. Then came the first of the metabolic adjustments. They told the roughnecks that the dust was a hazard, so they gave them the respirators. Then they told them the water was a luxury the static state could not afford to transport, so they gave them the internal filters. Slowly, the transition from man to machine became a point of pride, a mark of the high viscosity citizen. The day the straw hat fused to his skull, he had not even noticed. He was too busy watching the pressure gauge on his own forearm. The government and the corporate overlords had finally achieved their masterpiece, a worker who was both the engine and the fuel, a creature that could be drained until it was a husk and then discarded into the silt to wait for the next cycle. The last memory of the old world was the sight of a single wild rose being crushed under the tread of a crawler crane. As the black bile began to replace the red in his veins, he watched the flower disappear into the grease, and he realized that the clockwork city didn't not just want the oil, it wanted the memory of the rose, so that no one would ever know what they were missing. The sky turned gray, the sun became a rumor, and the debt began to grow.